Have you ever felt it? The strange quiet right before a massive life change. It's not chaos, and it's not quite peace. It's a feeling that something is shifting beneath the surface in a way you can't logically explain. The conversations around you suddenly feel hollow. The routines that once brought you comfort now feel like a cage. Even your greatest ambitions, the goals you once chased with relentless energy, seem to have lost their taste. This is deeply unsettling because our minds are programmed to believe that progress is loud, that it looks like constant forward motion. But the truth is, this strange, unsettling quiet is one of the most powerful signals that your reality is about to transform. This is not stagnation. This is not apathy. This is a neurological reboot. This is the great recalibration. In quantum physics, before a particle makes a leap to a new energy state, it enters a phase of pure potential, a superposition where it holds all possibilities at once, with none yet collapsed into a single outcome. This isn't a pause, it's the most dynamic state imaginable. You, right now, are in that same state, a liminal space, a doorway between your past and your future, where the old version of you is dissolving and the new version is materializing from the quantum field. Your logical mind, obsessed with linear progress, fights this process. It demands evidence, results, and a clear plan. But the quantum field doesn't operate on spreadsheets. What you are feeling is the conscious dismantling of your old operating system. Think of your brain as a company undergoing a major restructuring. To build new, more efficient departments, your new neural pathways, it must first quiet down, defund, and decommission the old ones. This process requires immense energy. The apathy you feel towards old goals isn't a sign you've lost your drive. It's a sign that the dopamine that once fueled your old life is being rerouted to build your new one. This can feel like something is wrong, when in reality, it is the surest sign that something is about to go profoundly right. Spiritually, mystics call this phase the fertile void, the silent dark soil where all creation begins before it reaches for the light. In this void, your soul is reorganizing its energy to match the new reality you are calling in. The tools that helped you survive your past are useless here. They belong to the identity you are leaving behind. Your only job right now is not to panic. It is to trust. The silence is not empty. It is full of potential, preparing a reality your conscious mind cannot yet perceive. You must release before you can receive. Imagine the moment before a great archer releases an arrow. They don't just point and shoot. They pull the bowstring back. The further they pull back, the more tension they build, the more potential energy they gather. From the outside, it looks like a backward motion. It looks like a delay. But that tension is not the obstacle. That tension is the source of the power. Right now, life is drawing the bowstring back. Not to hold you down, but to launch you into a future you could never reach with brute force alone. Here is the key. Most people sabotage their own quantum leap right here. They panic at the stillness. They mistake the tension for a problem and scramble to fill the void with old habits, old relationships, and low-frequency distractions. But the more you fight the silence, the longer you remain suspended in the in-between. The ones who make the leap are those who learn to lean into the quiet, who see the recalibration not as an absence of progress, but as the most critical proof of it. If you can reframe this phase, if you can see this strange calm as the quantum loading screen for your next chapter, you will start to notice the subtle signals, a random conversation that unlocks a new insight, an unexpected wave of emotion that clears years of energetic debris, a sudden moment of profound clarity about a problem that has haunted you for months. These are not coincidences. These are the micro-adjustments of a universe reorganizing itself around your new frequency. So, if you are here right now, feeling a little out of place, unsure of your next step, but absolutely certain you cannot go back, congratulations. You are not stuck. You are not lost. You are gathering power. You are in the precise vibrational space where transformation becomes inevitable. And in the moments we have left, I will show you how to not only navigate this phase, but how to use this sacred tension as the rocket fuel for your quantum leap. Because once you recognize this stillness for what it is, You will stop resisting it and start using it, moving into your next timeline with the calm, quiet certainty of the archer who knows the arrow is about to fly. One of the most misunderstood aspects of a quantum jump is that it rarely begins with a burst of energy or a dramatic sign from the universe. More often, it begins with friction. Not the chaotic kind that throws your life into obvious turmoil, but subtle, disorienting moments where the things that used to fit you no longer feel quite right. Relationships that once felt comfortable now feel constricting. Work that once gave you purpose feels hollow. Even your inner dialogue starts to sound foreign, as if it's coming from a version of you that no longer exists. This is the frequency mismatch phase, the moment your soul is accelerating into a higher vibration, while parts of your life are still operating in the old one. In quantum terms, this is what's known as decoherence, when two systems, in this case, your inner state and your outer reality, are no longer vibrating in harmony. The tension becomes impossible to ignore. And that tension is not a mistake. It's a signal that your current reality cannot sustain the energetic blueprint of where you're going. Decoherence. Think of it like trying to run the latest software on outdated hardware. The system will lag, glitch, and eventually crash, not because something went wrong, but because an upgrade is required. That upgrade is your quantum jump. Spiritually, this is where many people start to question everything. Why does it feel like I'm falling apart when I'm supposed to be leveling up? The truth is, you're not falling apart. You're falling out of alignment with your old timeline. And that dissonance is the exact force that will propel you toward the new one. Imagine standing with one foot on each of two boats drifting in opposite directions. Eventually, you will have to commit to one, and the one that matches your frequency will always feel like relief, even if it requires you to leave the familiar behind. Here's where most people get trapped. The mind, uncomfortable with uncertainty, tries to cling to the old. It will tell you to fix what's breaking, to smooth over what's falling apart, to restore what's fading away. But in the quantum field, restoration of the old is a step backwards. What feels like breakdown is actually the shedding of density. Old beliefs, patterns, and identities that can't travel with you to your new timeline. If you rush to patch them back together, you delay the jump. If you allow them to dissolve, you accelerate it. Acceleration physics gives us a metaphor here. When an electron jumps to a higher orbital, it must absorb a precise amount of energy. No more, no less. Once it reaches that threshold, it instantly transitions to the new state. There's no in-between. Similarly, your quantum jump happens the moment your frequency matches the reality you're moving into. Not when you force it, not when you push for it, but when you allow the old frequency to fully release so the new one can lock in. This is also why so much doing at this stage is counterproductive. The frantic need to fix, prove, or push is a sign you're trying to bridge two incompatible realities with effort, and effort is always a slower mechanism than alignment. The quantum field doesn't care how hard you work, it cares how purely you vibrate. A single moment of clear resonance will do more for your shift than weeks of unfocused action. If you've noticed lately that certain things are falling away, friendships, opportunities, even aspects of your personality, try this. Instead of asking, how do I get them back? Ask, what is this making space for? That single shift in questioning changes your frequency from resistance to receptivity. In the quantum field, resistance is like static. It scrambles your signal. Receptivity is like a direct channel. It calls in the exact timeline that's already tuned to your desire. And here's the paradox. The more you try to rush this stage, the longer it lasts. Think of it as a necessary decompression chamber between who you were and who you're becoming. In scuba diving, if you ascend too quickly, you get the bends. Your body can't adjust to the rapid change in pressure. Spiritually, the same principle applies. If you try to leap without integrating the energetic changes, your system will pull you back to stabilize. This is why patience, trust, and presence are not passive states. They are active components of the jump. So, if right now your life feels like it's half erased, if you're standing in the rubble of what no longer fits, but can't yet see what's being built, you are exactly where you need to be. This is not a detour. This is the launch pad. The dissonance you feel is the energy winding up, ready to propel you into the reality that already exists for you in the quantum field. Your only job is to stop gripping the edge of the old boat and let the current of the new one take you. Because here's the truth. Your quantum jump is not waiting for the right time. It's waiting for the right you. And the moment you stop trying to fix what's leaving and start attuning to what's arriving, the field will snap into place around you. That's when the shift happens. You know, suddenly, seamlessly, and with a sense of inevitability that will make you wonder why you ever doubted it. Right before a quantum jump, you might notice that your emotional world feels amplified, as if someone turned the volume up on every feeling you have. One moment, you're buzzing with excitement, certain that something extraordinary is about to happen. The next, doubt seeps in, whispering that maybe you're imagining it all. This isn't moodiness or inconsistency. It's the emotional signature of a system in transition. In neuroscience, your brain operates on predictive coding, meaning it constantly runs mental simulations of what it expects to happen based on past patterns. Even as your higher self is pulling you toward a new reality, your subconscious is still clinging to the old blueprint, trying to run the outdated program because it feels safer. In quantum terms, this is superposition, the strange, fascinating state in which two or more possible realities exist at the same time. You are in both timelines, the old one you've been living and the new one you're stepping into. Your emotions become the flicker between them. When you feel surges of hope followed by waves of uncertainty, it's not a setback. It's a sign that your energy is oscillating between states as the field searches for coherence. The stronger the oscillation, the closer you are to a collapse, the moment when one timeline becomes the only one. This is why emotional fluctuations before a quantum jump often feel intense. The stakes feel higher because your inner compass is recalibrating in real time. Every belief, memory, and attachment you've carried is being scanned by your consciousness. Does this belong in the new reality, or is this an artifact of the old? That process is emotional by nature because emotions are the chemical signals of change. The mistake most people make here is interpreting the doubt as proof they're failing. They start thinking, if I was really close to my quantum jump, I wouldn't feel this much fear. But that's like thinking turbulence means the plane isn't flying, when in fact, turbulence means you're moving through layers of atmosphere that require adjustment. Your emotions are adjusting to an altitude you've never flown at before. The faster you learn to ride the currents instead of gripping the seat in panic, the smoother the journey becomes. Ride the currents. Here's a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of labeling your emotions as good or bad, see them as energy signatures. Joy, excitement, fear, uncertainty, they are all currents of energy moving through your field. None of them are inherently wrong. They're simply telling you where your focus is in this moment. If you react to them as obstacles, you reinforce the oscillation. If you observe them as indicators, you begin to stabilize your signal toward the reality you want. From a spiritual lens, these amplified emotions are a form of initiation. The universe is essentially asking, can you hold your frequency steady even while the winds change? Because the timeline you are stepping into will also bring new experiences, challenges, and unknowns. Your capacity to remain coherent now is what prepares you to thrive later. In this way, emotional turbulence is not a test you can fail. It's the training ground that strengthens your vibrational stability. Conscious neutrality. One practice that accelerates this stabilization is conscious neutrality. When the excitement is high, don't cling to it as the only sign you're on track. When doubt arises, don't treat it as a warning to turn back. Instead, breathe into both states, knowing they are temporary fluctuations within a much bigger trajectory. Imagine yourself as the eye of the storm, still, centered, watching the weather shift around you, but not being carried away by it. This level of emotional mastery is the hallmark of someone who is seconds away from collapsing into their chosen reality. So if lately your feelings have been all over the map, know this. You are not unstable. You are in motion. The field is adjusting to hold you in the frequency of your desired timeline. And the more gracefully you navigate these waves, the faster the oscillation resolves into a single, solid reality. Soon, you won't be flickering between worlds. you'll have landed fully in the one you've been calling in. Most people imagine the final test before a quantum leap as if the universe were a stern teacher standing at the front of the class with a red pen, waiting to mark their paper. But the truth is far more intimate and far more empowering. This isn't the universe deciding whether you're worthy. It's your own subconscious running its final diagnostic, surfacing the last fragments of your old identity so you can choose consciously to let them go. You might find yourself suddenly facing the same kind of challenges you thought you'd already outgrown. A conversation that pushes your buttons in exactly the same way an old relationship did. A money situation that triggers the same scarcity panic you felt years ago, or a wave of self-doubt that sounds eerily familiar. These moments are not punishments. They're mirrors reflecting back the frequency you used to inhabit so you can decide once and for all whether you still want to live there. From a neuroscience perspective, your brain loves efficiency. It will always reach for the most well-worn pathways first, the familiar responses, beliefs, and behaviors you've rehearsed for years. When you're on the brink of a quantum jump, those neural patterns are still firing, hoping you'll give them one last confirmation so they can stay in place. The only way to rewire them is not through force, but through demonstration, behaving as the new version of yourself, even when the old triggers are right in front of you. Every time you choose the higher frequency response, you weaken the old pathway and strengthen the new one. In the language of quantum mechanics, this is a collapse of the old probability wave. Until you make a new choice, both versions of you, the one who reacts from the past and the one who responds from alignment, exist simultaneously. The moment you act in a way that aligns with your chosen timeline, you collapse the reality of your old self, and the new one becomes the only active signal you're broadcasting into the field. This is why the challenges that arise right before a shift feel so charged. They are the final superposition between who you were and who you are becoming. Spiritually, this stage is less of a test and more of a ceremonial crossing. It's the moment you stand at the threshold, holding the key to your new reality. And the only thing the door asks of you is to respond from the frequency you've been cultivating. If you meet scarcity with gratitude, anger with compassion, doubt with unwavering presence, you're not just symbolically ready. You're vibrationally locked into your new timeline. The field doesn't need to approve you. It simply mirrors who you are being. And in this moment, being is everything. The danger here is misinterpretation. Many people see these resurfacing challenges as proof they're going backward. They think, if I'm still attracting this, I must be failing. But the reality is, the very appearance of these scenarios means you've shifted enough for them to be flushed out of your field. You can't clear what you haven't yet outgrown. The fact that you're aware of these patterns now and that you're even asking yourself how to respond differently is the strongest signal that you're almost there. Think of it like a simulation in a flight simulator. Pilots train for turbulence so that when it happens in real life, they already know exactly how to stabilize the plane. The moments before a quantum jump are your simulator runs. They give you the opportunity to embody your new state under conditions that would have once knocked you off balance. Pass this test, meaning respond from your upgraded frequency. And you're not just imagining your new reality, you're living it in real time. If you feel that tension right now, the resistance, the setbacks, the ghosts of your past reappearing, do not mistake it for a sign that you are failing. Recognize it for what it is. The final moment of tension on the bowstring before the arrow is released. This is the moment of maximum potential energy, the point where you must hold your coherence with unwavering certainty, knowing that in the quantum field, the target is already hit. Let's anchor this release together. Go to the comments and make the most powerful declaration you can make from this space. Write these 3 words: I release the arrow. This is not just a comment. This is the signal from the archer to the universe. It is the conscious decision to let go of the past and fly directly into your new timeline. Let's see how many of us are ready to hit our target. Here is what nobody tells you about a quantum jump. It rarely arrives with a parade. In the movies, the great transformation is always dramatic. Fireworks, swelling music, a before and after so obvious it's impossible to miss. But in actual quantum reality, the leap often arrives quietly. One day, you simply wake up and notice the anxiety that lived in your stomach for years isn't there. The problem you obsessed over for months somehow feels distant and irrelevant. A conversation that would have triggered you last week now passes through you, leaving you completely unmoved. The shift doesn't announce itself. It simply becomes your new baseline, and because it feels so natural, so normal, your mind might even try to dismiss it, whispering, "Was that it?" This is where understanding the nature of quantum change is essential. In physics, when an electron jumps to a higher energy orbit, it happens instantaneously. There is no gradual climb. One moment, it is here. The next, it is there. That is how you shift timelines. The arrival isn't about fireworks, it's about resonance. The old frequency simply drops away, becoming so foreign that it's hard to remember why it ever felt like home. From a neurological perspective, this is the final integration. Your brain has pruned the old neural pathways and has finished myelinating the new ones. You no longer have to try to think or feel differently. It is simply your new default state. This is why so many people miss the victory of their own leap. It feels as effortless as breathing. And that is precisely the point. To the version of you living in your new reality, this isn't a miracle. It is simply Tuesday. Spiritually, this quiet arrival is the most powerful confirmation you can receive. It is the universe affirming that you have matched the new frequency so completely there is nothing left to manifest. You are no longer chasing it. You are inhabiting it. There is a profound peace in this stage, a sense that the struggle is over. And ironically, it is only when you stop desperately looking for signs that you begin to see them everywhere. Unexpected resources, people appearing with perfect timing, synchronicities stacking up like breadcrumbs laid out by an invisible intelligence. The only danger here is the mind's temptation to poke the field, to go back to overthinking and second-guessing because it was trained to believe that transformation must feel dramatic and effortful. But in truth, drama belongs to the old timeline. The new one is built on flow. Trust that just because the shift felt quiet, it does not mean it was small. In fact, the quiet shifts are the most permanent because they happen not just in your circumstances, but at the level of your identity. They are a fundamental upgrade to your entire operating system. This is the moment to lean into embodiment. The old question was, how do I make it happen? The new question is, how do I live fully as this version of me? Every choice you make from this point forward reinforces the new reality. Every action becomes an expression of your new alignment, rather than a desperate attempt to create one. And that is when the quantum field responds with even greater coherence, weaving new possibilities into your life, not through effort, but through grace. So, if you've been expecting your leap to feel like an explosion, pay attention instead to the subtle shifts, the quiet mornings where your chest feels lighter, the conversations that flow without tension, the sudden clarity on decisions that used to paralyze you. These are the hallmarks of arrival. You are already in the new reality. Your only job now is to keep living there. Here is the truth. If you have made it this far on this journey with me today, it is not random. You are receiving this message because you have already been resonating with a higher timeline. You have already been tuning into the frequency of the version of you that has what you've been asking for. This journey is no longer about arriving. You have arrived. The new mission is to stabilize, integrate, and embody. This is where the real work of transformation happens. In the daily choices that solidify your new neural pathways and make this elevated frequency your new biological baseline. It means no more slipping back into old patterns when life gets quiet. It means no more testing the universe to see if it's still working. It's about anchoring yourself so deeply in this new identity that it becomes unshakable, your new natural state. So, how do you do that? How do you make this extraordinary state your new normal? That is exactly what we will explore in our next transmission, which is appearing on your screen right now. We will dive into the daily practices that anchor this coherence into your nervous system, turning a temporary state into a permanent trait. If you are ready to master this new reality, subscribe to Calmnergy and ring the notification bell. This isn't just a channel, it's your daily training ground for conscious evolution. Your daily dose is complete. The real transformation begins now. Carry this energy into your day and remember, your inner state is the cause. Your outer world is the effect. Until we meet again, stay coherent.